Here you're knocking heavy bags off the posts. I mean, you put 22 guys to sleep in 20. How proud are you of that? I am in your face. You're going to sleep.
I've titled myself a knockout artist ever since I was 14 years old, and I was knocking out grown men with 16-ounce gloves and headgears, So I tell people ever since then I've been dropping people like a bad habit, I love being a power puncher. My first favorite fighter of all time was Mike Tyson. It was my goal to have more knockouts than Mike Tyson in my professional career.
Really?
It's just, just little goals. Yeah, as a kid growing up. So I started off holding it down with 8 consecutive first round KOs and TKOs here at the a la carte Pavilion out in Tampa, Florida. And it took me 8 knockouts before I chose to give myself a nickname, and it was because all of those knockouts occurred in the first round, and because of the devastating power, and because of the story that my father once told me, that I chose to take upon the name Keith One-Time Thurman.
Story your father once told me.
My father was told me a story very similar to Kimbo Slice, doing some backyard brawling, and his buddies nicknamed him One Time. I'm already Keith Thurman Jr. I figured might as well take one more name from the father, from the pops.
Yeah. And why is One Time going to be greater than Showtime coming up on the 25th?
Oh man, we're going to box better, box smarter, and box harder.
I was reading about Porter's training thing, and it's really high tech. Like riding bicycles at high altitude in his gym, you got to take your shoes off before you go. This isn't quite as high tech here, is it?
No.
Pretty much. No. We got a little champ running around, and
yeah, this is an old school gym. Basic ring, basic heavy bags, 1 speed bag, 1 double end bag. Pull-ups, push-ups, dips, sit-ups.
So you can train however you want. You can train in outer space. You can do whatever you want. You still got to get in the ring. And how much is that training really going to help you, man?
Training is the fundamentals of getting one prepared, preparation, getting in shape, and we've known the whole time that Shawn Porter was going to come in shape for this fight, tremendous shape for this fight. That's what his training methods are all about. But the Energizer Bunny never been hit by Keith Thurman. I'm pretty sure I can make him stop in his tracks.
Do you think you're going to stop Porter?
We're going for the knockout. We stated this before. I have no problem stating it again. My hands are, they're itching for a knockout. We stopped Luis Collazo, but Luis Collazo pretty much stopped himself. I mean, we were going to stop him really soon after, but he pulled out of the fight. I was not able to satisfy the fans with an official knockout, especially being at home. I really was looking forward to doing that. Plus, engaging in that one body shot, he deserved as much pain as he could endure for that day. That's how I felt. So the fact that he pulled out of it was very disappointing.
You say it so softly, so deftly. I'm going for the knockout. You realize that Ali in his day, he would have had a whole poem built up. He would have been leaning over the.
I mean, I don't.
You know what I mean? You're very.
Sometimes I don't like to repeat myself. These boys heard me say it. I'm one time all the time. KOs for life. That's my philosophy. Each and every single time I step into the ring, I'm looking for the knockout. There's not 1 second of any round that I'm not looking for the knockout. We don't get paid for overtime. I'm gonna take that check, I'm gonna go home. It's actually words from my grandfather before he passed. He never liked that I was a boxer. He wanted me to, stay in school, stay educated. But he said, if you're gonna do it, then you get in and you get out. And for me, that one sentence had 2 meanings. That meant go in there, don't diddy-daddle, hurt them if you can, knock them out, go home. Another thing is, get in and get out is make your money and leave at the right time. Don't stay in and get damaged, later on in your career. I think I've done it twice now, I mean, it's just power, man.
A couple hundred pounds?
200 pounds, I made a joke. I said, yeah, baby, see, we're getting ready for Deontay, dropping heavy bags at 200 pounds, heavyweights, so, I've always enjoyed being a power puncher, throwing power punches, twerking my hips the way Tyson used to do back in the day, setting up the uppercuts, I used to make a joke that tell people, one of my favorite punches is the left hook. So at the end of the day, I'm a high class hooker. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a beautiful thing though, man. I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. I'm 27 now. So for me, another thing about this fight is it's almost like a 20th anniversary fight for me. 20 years in the game. You know, not 20 years professional, but 20 years in the game. 20 years being focused on boxing, being focused on being where we are today. You know, 20 years on this path, still moving forward, man, and really looking for bigger and better things to happen in the future.
You don't like nonsense, do you? You don't like, hey, why don't you call guys out, and why don't we do this? I mean, when Porter, if it's Porter's dad said, he doesn't really want to fight us. To you, that's nonsense. That's just stuff you don't.
I mean, it's absolute nonsense when I ask for you before you ever asked for me. You know what I mean? And then I have to repeat myself because people forget what was once said. You know.
You don't need to show your X-rays.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I definitely don't need to show my X-rays. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe we can show them that night.
You know, I mean, the car was damaged, man. I was damaged. You know.
Whose fault was it?
I guess it was my fault. You know. I'll take the responsibility. It was most likely my fault. But yeah, the one thing that I said too is whatever was said, nothing matters the moment the fight is over. The fight is going to determine everything. You know, the words before the fight, it just is what it is. Keith's scared, Keith wanted this, Keith wanted that. If anything, man, they should feel good. I had to sit down for weeks. I was getting in shape. I had to sit down, be dormant. I talked about how I was a little depressed in that moment. It wasn't a fun thing to go through. Then I had to pull myself out of that, get back into the gym, and put myself in the shape and condition that we are in now. Him, you know, just like almost like LeBron and his team last year in the finals with injuries and stuff, him being injury free, they should have tons of confidence coming into this fight. You know, they feel like I'm scared. That should give them more confidence. And you know, hopefully he confidently walks right into a right hand and gets knocked out.